Hello everyone, this is Food is a Conversation Alumni Edition, session 39. It's unbelievable how many people we already featured since April. So those of you who don't know these conversations, twice a week in order to introduce our ecosystem members who attended any of the educational programs what the Future Food Institute organized so far. Ciao Alberto!
Ciao Giulia.
You connected so fast, I didn't even have the chance to tell everything about the conversations.
Sorry.
Sorry, I will
Super
need your
efficient.
patience a tiny bit. So basically, these sessions, as I said, happen twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday in different times, because as you can imagine, our alumni are located all over the world. So we want to make sure that all of the time zones are covered. You can check out the previous 38 sessions on our IGTV and our YouTube channel. And these conversations are basically introducing their story. How did they join the network? What education program they participated on, and what happened with them since then. How are they implementing whatever they learned through the program, and where are they active at? How is their local food system like, and how do they imagine their food future? So please, I encourage everyone to post your questions in the chat. I will make sure that we don't leave them unanswered before we finish. And now, without any further ado, because you don't need to listen to me all the time, let me introduce you to Alberto Miti.
Hello everyone. Ciao Giulia. Thanks for the invitation for today.
Thank you for being here. So Alberto is based in Bologna, and he attended summer school in 2017. So can you please tell us a bit about the Advocacy Summer School?
Definitely. So my story as an alumni is a little bit different from the other that you heard before, because at the beginning I was actually working within the Future Food. So I started to arrive in the Future Food with an internship, and I started working with social media. I was writing my thesis on the impact of design thinking and social innovation. And since my passion has always been food, as you may imagine, what better place to write such a thesis than the Future Food? So I came across Sara and the Future Food Institute, and I started to work with them in the social media area. But then day by day, I started to work more and more with things that I liked more and more. And I ended up working on the services for food startups. But every time I was looking at these educational activities from the outside, from the backstage, as you may imagine.
Yeah.
So it happened that year that I was in the middle of a career change, and I decided to check and finally experience one of the educational activities of the Future Food from the other side, from the side of a student. So that's why I enrolled in the Advocacy Summer School. And for me, it was an amazing experience. It was an amazing trip on the food system, literally from farm to not only fork, but the whole trip ended up in the G7 of Bergamo. And it exposed us to very different food heroes in the local areas of Reggio Emilia and Emilia-Romagna, and the whole goal was to learn how to tell their stories. And actually, one of those stories, you can see it here behind me. It was a school in collaboration with the Lexicon of Sustainability, and that's their typical, let's say, style. It's a huge infographic with the story of the hero written on top. And this is about yeast pushers. This is a network of home bakers and passionate of sourdough that decided to share their sourdough with people that don't know how to start their own, or they want to make their own bread. And this experience for me, it was even more important because during the summer school I met the Lexicon, and that thing opened up a huge new world on its own. And I met Douglas Gayton, that is the founder of the Lexicon, and he became kind of my mentor, and we started to do a lot of projects together for 3 years after that. So it was huge.
Very interesting. You also had an exhibition at the end of that summer school, right?
Yes, yes. All the students of the summer school realized these artworks here, and we created an exhibition that was shown in the G7 of Bergamo, and it was on the topic of people, practice, and power in food systems. It was quite
Wow.
powerful, and there were stories from all over the world because there were students from Japan, students from Ireland, from students from Africa. It was really like a trip on its own, really, in the food system, in the world food system. And I
Amazing.
think you can also see all those artworks still online somewhere.
Yes, actually, one of the participants we already had on these sessions, Viola Berwald. So, if you are interested, hear a different view about it, you can also check out the previous session.
Definitely.
Um, and so, you mentioned Douglas and the Lexicon, and also that he became your mentor, and you have been working with them ever since. Can you tell us a bit about the different projects what you have been working on together?
Definitely. Actually, everything started exactly the last day of this storytelling and advocacy summer school. There was this huge party in the Scuderia, and during this party there was Carlo from Biodiversity International. That is this NGO working on research and in the agronomic sector. And he was in Bologna to receive a prize, the environmental prize of the municipality of Bologna. And we met him during the party, and introduced us to his colleagues from Ethiopia, and he told us the amazing work they were doing with neglected crops in Ethiopia. And long story short, 1 week later, I was on a flight to Ethiopia to shoot the stories of these farmers and their neglected crops. And that was the base of the first big project that we started to work together with Douglas Gayton, that is the Reawaken Food Initiative. And it's a global communication campaign that is focused on the stories of 25 neglected and underutilized crop species. Those crops, they are not used anymore, they are neglected for some reason. They have been neglected because of the Green Revolution and the industrialization of agriculture, but that today are being rediscovered and they are being reawakened, and they can have a huge impact on our life, our health, and the food system. And this is a project that it's gonna take place in 11 different countries in the world. We already published some of the stories in India, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, and Ethiopia, and the US. And there are going to be other story of other crops all over the world. With Douglas, we also worked a lot on a series of projects actually, called the Food System Accelerator. And it's basically a series of accelerators that the Lexicon launched 14 of them over the past 3 years. And those are accelerators that are not meant to create white papers or manifestos or something that those accelerators are meant to create something that can be used, can be actively used and shared with everybody. So all the things that have been created during this accelerator are Creative Commons, open source, and can be downloaded. And those are tools for supply chain assessment that can help people to make better decisions in their supply chain connected to agrobiodiversity. Or they can be a tool for food choices, to make better food choices. So you can find in this one of the websites we created, you can find a video game that can help you to understand what choice to make when you have to decide what to eat in for your lunch bag. So which one is the most sustainable one?
So it's very actionable even for consumers, right?
Exactly. It's something that the purpose is, it needs to be very easy to understand, very effective, and needs to be used by all the actors of the supply chain. So we have tools for different kind of actors, also considering consumers.
Okay, so
And
just
this,
because you mentioned so many different things now, are these all of them available through the website of the Lexicon?
they are available through the website of the Lexicon, or you can check them on greenbrownblue.org. It's anyway connected in the lexicon.org.
Okay,
You
okay,
can find it.
perfect. So for those who would like to check out the game, and I mean, this is very important. I think that we don't leave out the consumers from the conversations and all of these actionable items. I feel like a lot of times we say the food industry is operating in silos, and at the end of the day, sometimes even people who would like to change or make a transition also just talk in the same bubble. And how do we want to make a change if we don't include those people who are voting with their own food choices, right? And at the end of the day,
Exactly.
that's everyone's connection to the food system. Yeah.
Exactly.
So and these are also then solutions which can be worked on and maybe even like improved to further stages, or like basically modularized and added to each other. And for our last digital bootcamp, I had the chance to listen to one of your presentations during our final hackathon, and that was about minimum viable product. So can you please tell the audience what exactly is minimal viable product? Because let's be honest, that's not a term that everyone understands. And what is their role in innovation, especially in the food industry?
So these also belong to another part of my life, because I'm doing a lot of things. As you for sure know, I'm in many different projects, and I have a lot of passions. And one of my lives is with Alma Cube, that is the startup incubator of the University of Bologna, and especially I work with them with startups and informal groups to make open innovation projects. And a concept we use a lot is the MVP. MVP is the minimum viable product. It is the minimum product, the minimum functionable product that you need to create with your startup, your project, in order to fulfill, to deliver the value to your customer, fulfill their needs. So this is a very important concept, because often when we start creating a startup or we create a service and a product, we start to concentrate on useless details and make us lose a lot of time in the decision of, like, let's go on the absurd, of colors or all different things that maybe they're not really interesting, they're not really important. We have to understand what is the real value that we want to deliver. First of all, what is the need that our customer has and that we want to address? What is the value they want to deliver to him, and how can we deliver it to him in the clearest and easiest way possible, in order not to confuse him, and in order to be sure that what the solution that we are creating is actually the solution that he needs. And this thing, it's hard to understand, because we are not used to this kind of reasoning. We always try to have the ready-made solution, and we also give a lot of importance to aesthetic. That is important, but sometimes you have to go beyond aesthetics. And I actually experienced that on my own skin, because in the past I also worked on an open innovation project with big companies, and we had to create a food product. There was basically, we started from a brief, from a food concept that came out of an open innovation project, and we decided to create a startup out of this concept and go to market as fast as we could, in order to get let's say the solution problem fit, and understand also what could be the best business model to sell this product, work with this product. And the first thing was to create a minimum viable product. So we had to understand what was the thing that our customer wanted. And it was a challenge at the beginning, but if you get the mindset, that can help you a lot. And we actually could develop a product in 5 months. We developed this product and we make the first sale in 5 months. That is something that for big companies, it's
Kind of unbelievable,
something
right?
that's unbelievable, unheard before. So it
Exactly.
was
Sometimes it
great.
takes like 1 to 2 years till they actually push a product to market, right? With all the
Exactly.
tests and everything. It's insane. So how are those challenges or problems defined, or how are these open innovation projects working? Just for, you know, someone who would have never participated on something like this. How is the problem defined, and how do you reach that point of that minimum viable product?
So you already kind of introduced that before when you say that nobody really talks with the consumers, that they are the one who vote with their forks. So the base of problem definition is talking to the consumer. So you have to talk with them, you have to try to understand what's bothering them, what are their needs, how you can improve their life. So the process I work with is highly based on design thinking. So in design thinking is a human-centered approach. So we give a lot of attention to the interaction to the users and with consumers. So we always start with research and with interviewing the consumers. And then I lost the other part of the question. Sorry, can you repeat?
So yeah, so basically the question was, how is the problem definition, and what
Yeah.
steps did you follow when in 5 months you literally launched a product what could be sold to
So
consumers?
trial and error. You test, you test it with your consumer, you get feedbacks, you incorporate this feedback, you modify your product, and then you test it again. It sounds slow, but it's not actually. It's super quick. It sounds like it's a thing that makes you lose time, but in reality, you save so much time by phasing your consumer, your customer from day one, because you understand you cannot get those insights another way. If you go and talk with your customer from day one, or your users, if you're not concentrating on the market but you want to solve an issue, you go and talk with your users, and then you understand what's the real problem. There's a thing, I hate myself a little bit for quoting this again, but there's a thing that we always say when we launch an open innovation program in Alma Cube. That's a quote that we say it's by Einstein, but I'm not sure. And he said that if he had 1 hour to solve a problem that his life was depending on, he would spend 55 minutes to find the real problem, and then 5 minutes to create the solution. So that's really what that really works. I mean, then 55 and 5 minutes too much, but it definitely works.
Yeah. So you have been running these like startup kickoffs till MVP yourself, and now you're also working with different startups. What do you see is the common mistake what they do? Because what I feel sometimes, it's like you're so rigid and it's your baby and you just want to do everything how you imagined it in your head, and that stops them sometimes from this iteration. So what do you think are the most common mistakes, and what do you usually recommend the teams?
I think what you just said, it's very, very true. This thing of falling in love with your ideas and falling in love with the features of your idea, it's very dangerous, because it makes your vision, it makes you blind, basically. So you don't really see that something is not working because you love it so much and you don't want to see it. But that's a thing that also Douglas Gayton used to tell me a lot when I used to love too much one of the pictures I used to make, or one of the feature of the project I used to make. He told me that sometimes it's important to drown your own kids, in the sense that may sound quite I would say cruel, but sometimes it's important when you fall in love with an idea just to forget about that. Don't fall in love with that, and go to your user and try to understand if they fall in love with that, if they like that, because I mean, it's your kid, of course you love it, but maybe there is not your users don't find it useful, and it doesn't work the way you would like to, you know. So I think that definitely that's one of the main thing. Another is definitely, it's again the fear of prototyping and going out there low definition. Because again, people believe that in order to go to the market, you have to be ready, you have to have a full blown army behind you, and you should be perfect. It's not true. You should not be. You should be perfect for your MVP. Your MVP should be perfect in the way that your value proposition needs to be clear, and you need to communicate the value proposition in the right way, and you need to deliver your value in the right way. But then you need to grow with your interaction with your users, and you don't need to be scared to hear the truth from them, you know. And that's easier to say than to do. Huh? I don't even know if I can do it, but it's really tough.
Exactly. It feels sometimes that it's very easy to advise when you are looking at it from the outside. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people have this, oh my God, my reputation will be ruined if I go out with something which is not perfect. Or how will a consumer trust me if I don't deliver immediately from point one? How will you keep them loyal, right? And I think these concerns might stop someone, but I think at the end of the day, you can only develop together with those people who will consume or use your products. That's for sure.
Exactly.
So,
and then what's perfect? You know, what's perfect? What does it mean perfect? And then
exactly.
you don't deliver your value. But if you build that value together with your user, there is no way you cannot deliver that. No, you're gonna deliver it because
Exactly.
you build it together.
Yeah. And if you if you build too long and you create this legacy, what then is way harder to change because it became so big and so complex that adjusting to those needs will make
Exactly.
it like a huge ship what's very difficult to put into different directions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So before we go to the final question, because you are so actively involved in multiple projects, what do you think from the consumer point of view, what are those problems what one face nowadays? So what are consumers looking for in the market at this stage? Let it be a packaged product, let it be a solution for them to make their better choices. What is popping up on your screen when you are researching most of the time?
Okay. Consumers, the final consumer are not really my main focus, but I can try to work a little bit with that. I think that one of the thing that consumers today want is trust, I would say, and that can sound a little bit banal, but or childish, but I feel from all the different projects we are working at right now, or the interaction I had with consumers, is that they are looking for trust and looking for food product that they can feel that they're saying the truth. That truth is immutable, so nothing can change, or nothing can change it. They need to trust the information that it's written on the packaging. They need to trust the process that that it's used to create the food product, and they don't need to know the process, but they need to be sure that that process respect their value. And that's a huge I think that's a huge issue today, because we are talking a lot about sustainability. We're talking a lot about also blockchain and traceability, but many times consumers they feel kind of lost in front of all this information, because they feel like they don't know how to interpret this information. So the first effect is that they lose trust, and if you lose trust, it's a big problem. Like, big brands can do it with can replace the trust with a lot of marketing investment, but that's a kind of band-aid. It doesn't really solve the issue. So right now, probably what we have to do is to try to rebuild the trust.
Definitely.
That's the first thing that comes into my mind.
Exactly. I feel the same. Yesterday we had a research dinner about nutrition inequalities in Poland, and one of the guests said, making your food food decisions shouldn't be so difficult. Make right food choices shouldn't be made difficult. But this is how we are right now. Consumers are seeking for better food choices, but it consumes times. They need to educate themselves. They need to read labels or whatsoever in order to make those good choices. So what they want is actually a platform who they can trust. So they don't need to read anymore because they know that those food choices are actually present, like only good food choices are presented to them, right? So that
Yeah,
would be
exactly.
the ideal case scenario. So if we look at an ideal future, an utopistic maybe even, how would you describe your food future?
Okay. Can I say two? Two
Yes,
adjectives?
yes, two scenarios. Yeah, we like A, B. Yes, yes.
So the future of food for me should be, first of all, diverse. So we should have diversity everywhere. We should be able to eat a different food every day, but not different food, like a different crop, a different plant, like everything should be different. We should try to go farther and farther and farther from the three main crops that are making the 70% of our diet today. I think a future that is based on diverse diets and diverse foods should be, it's what we have to aim to. And the second is decentralized, because I truly believe that we need to create decentralized food systems. Right now, the food system that we are facing right now are kind of extractive. They pull the value out of the, let's say, the peripheries, and they pull it and concentrate in big nodes like distribution, like the big companies. I think that today we need to rethink that those systems toward the decentralized system that can deliver value to all these different actors. So it's no more an extraction of value, but it's a shared value for all. And also the people that are in the peripheries could benefit from the economical value, but also the scientific value, the knowledge that is created toward the whole supply chain. So decentralized and diverse.
DD. I like this future. I don't think they are two separate ones. I want these two together, diverse and decentralized, in the same time. It's a pretty good future to look forward to. Alberto, thank you so much. It was a very insightful session. For those who joined later, the conversation will be posted on our IGTV right after we end here. And stay tuned because we have the next conversation coming on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Central European Time. And yeah, stay tuned. Oh, and we have a digital bootcamp coming up next Friday. So if you want to be featured on one of these sessions, I think you should apply now to get into the next batch of Climate Shapers. Alberto, thank you so much. And have a lovely, lovely evening.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, everyone. Bye.